Hello, I'm Sean Lambert, and today we're going to be looking at a game I've not shown yet on this channel. It is called Napoleon's Eagles. Well, it's called now Napoleon's Eagles. This was released as War and Peace, which is a computerized version of the board game War and Peace. What we're going to do is we're going to slowly play through the entire Napoleonic Wars. And I've already played the introductory scenario. It really is not worth showing on stream here, but the other scenarios are really cool. Not all of them have AI yet, although I believe on the roadmap AI is eventually coming for a lot of these battles. The Waterloo one does have stuff, and if you're interested in just a Waterloo game, this is actually a really cool scenario. I've seen pictures of it. I haven't played it yet, but I have seen pictures of it. There's also two more advanced version of Napoleon, or of Napoleon in Egypt, which I'm not quite familiar with yet, so I'm not going to play that one. It does also. I would also have to play it solo, so that's not quite as fun as playing against the AI. The AI in this game is actually pretty good, and they're kind of tough to beat sometimes. So, especially in Egypt, where, of course, we're going to be playing Napoleon, they're going to be kind of a pain. Egypt really is a historical defeat for Napoleon. So let's read the scenario briefing. Following his successful Italian campaign ending in 1797, Bonaparte was suddenly in the spotlight in Paris and had gained notoriety throughout Europe. How would he follow up to this success? Well, inspired by Alexander the Great, Bonaparte decided to strike the English in India. And this was a source of great paranoia for the English, partially out of a desire to send the young Corsican away from Paris, and also partially out of a need for more success. The Directory agreed to his ambitious idea for a campaign to conquer Egypt with hopes of cutting off the English trade route to India. Bonaparte wasted no time in gathering the best and brightest, including a corps of veteran soldiers from the army of Italy. He gathered 40,000 soldiers in an armada of 335 ships varying in size and shape, from tiny ships to the enormous battleship Ship of the Line Sans Culotte, newly titled L'Orient. The force he used to conquer Egypt and sidestep the Ottoman Empire and finally drive the English out of India obviously was quite powerful, but the problem was the British Navy did have a little something to say about this whole strategy. Very early on, however, events would not go according to plan. Nelson's forces achieved a stunning victory over the French fleet anchored off Abu Corbeil. The French Foreign Minister, Charles-Marie de Talleyrand, refused to make the promised journey to Constantinople to assuage the Turks, who then, of course, declared war on France. Eventually, the dreaded bubonic plague, the disease that had ravaged Europe centuries earlier, would assault his ambitions. Embattled on all sides, Bonaparte would prove his resilience and leadership time and time again, but would eventually run away and return to Paris, leaving his Army of the Orient to wither on the vine, and eventually be completely destroyed. So we are going to be playing in against the AI scenario. The great thing about this game is it actually does have an online multiplayer mode, or you can play it by yourself. So this game actually has really hype music, really cool music. I have it turned off just so you can hear what the hell I'm saying, but if you're playing by yourself, I highly encourage the music. And this painting here is absolutely gorgeous. I'm glad they included it. This is of the Battle of the Pyramids, and they decided to put pyramids there. I turned on all the optional rules. Just like if I were playing the real board game, I'd be playing with the optional rules. So the optional rules are on. We have rear maneuver, which allows French players to use more than one hex to initiate a field battle with a pincher movement. Imperial Guard, which allows us to get a morale of 3 for a round of combat in exchange for all losses taken on a guard. And then we have the cavalry charge and plague mechanics. The cavalry charge modifier is for a round of combat in exchange for all losses taken on cavalry, which can be pretty powerful. I mean, cavalry are good, but being able to just get that nice modifier is pretty powerful. And the plague attrition die roll of 6 means that anyone who's on the Nile gets a second attrition roll. And attrition in War and Peace is everything. It is hugely impactful. I also turned on the optional rule of different colored regions getting different die rolls for their attrition. I'm not sure if that applies to this scenario or not. I think there's only one region involved here. Some special rules that are in play for this scenario are that French forces are supplied by Alexandria for the first 2 turns before Nelson destroys the French fleet. French forces are supplied from Cairo so long as one of 2 conditions is true. Cairo is unbesieged, controlled by France, and Bonaparte is within 1 hex of Cairo. Or Cairo is unbesieged, controlled by France, and Aswan is controlled by France. Any unit in a hex with the Nile River on a hex side is supplied as long as Cairo is unbesieged and controlled by France. If at the start of any French attrition phase the hex containing Cairo has fewer than 6 strength points of French forces, roll 1 die. A result of 3 or less in the Nile cannot be used to supply for that turn, including the current attrition phase. And you can lose a ton of guys if you make that mistake. Mamluk forces are supplied from Cairo, Aswan, Qasir, El Arish, or any city in Syria. A city in Syria can only be a supply source if Turkey is allied with the anti-French. And that's what it was called in this war, is the anti-French coalition. Any unit in a hex containing the Nile River is supplied so long as Aswan is not occupied or besieged by pro-French forces. Mamluk forces are supplied from the Bahariya oasis if both Cairo and Aswan are not controlled by France, or are controlled by France. Ottoman forces in Syria are supplied from any hex on the last hex row of the northern border of Syria. Just backing up a second here, Mamelukes, and we'll get into some of the historical stuff in a moment, but a lot of these, the Egypt War is a lot different than some of the other Napoleonic wars in that he's fighting very complicated forces. In particular, the Mamelukes are interesting because they are people who were kidnapped and forcibly converted to Islam and then used as troops against him. So they're kind of an interesting group. The alliance side has a die roll that is increased by 2 in August 1798, which is turn 2, and then again by 1 in each subsequent turn. If it's still neutral in 1798, Turkey declares war on France. Then we have some special movement restrictions. Units can't be overrun. Turkish units can't move while neutral. Mamelukes without leaders get a +2 to their attrition die roll, so that they're supposed to be spread out. Mamluk cavalry are considered as infantry when facing French cavalry. Mamluk strength points stacked with a leader may not leave their hex without him. Any French units in combat with Bonaparte or Desai have their normal morale of 2, otherwise their morale is 1. Land combat. Defender gets a die roll modifier of 1 during an assault. Highest combat ratio is 2-1 instead of 4-1, so less decisive. French combat losses may be reduced by 1 SP if a die roll modified by the best leadership value in the hex is equal to or greater than a 5. So you have a 1/3 chance of getting rid of one of your SPs of losses in a battle if you have Napoleon or Desai there. And Bonaparte can't get injured or killed. We're almost done with the special rules. A lot of special rules for this scenario. Cairo, at the end of the first coalition turn, Cairo is left without an anti-French strength point. then the French immediately get control of the city. The Turkish amphibious invasion. Turkish forces arrive at sea in July 1799. They may move by sea only to any coastal hex within 3 hexes of Alexandria. In addition, a supply unit allows landing units to automatically be supplied at any coastal hex. In winter, lake and swamp are not affected. Reinforcements are fortified if the opposing player controls the specified city on the scheduled turn of arrival. And I don't think that's a special rule. I think that's actually a regular rule, just for scenarios only. Bonaparte, the young Bonaparte, is not yet the great Napoleon. He may only move up to 10 SP. Hence, split the large French army before moving. So it just means he doesn't have his bonus to his stacking limit. Let's read the victory conditions. Those are pretty damn important. Probably should have read those first. French player wins a decisive victory if the score is 9 or more at the end of the scenario. A single point is awarded for each city: Alexandria, Aswan, Damietta, El Arish, Gaza, Jaffa, Jerusalem, and Qusayr. 2 points are awarded for Acre and Cairo. So what happens if it's 5? If it's I guess it's a draw. All right, we'll call it a draw. Well, I think that's all there is to it. So let's take a look at the map finally. So the cool thing about the scenarios, and let's just take a look at the top of the map. So that this game is based on Mark McLaughlin's War and Peace, which is, a lot of people consider it the best Napoleonic strategic level game. And I've not ever played the physical board game, but I got this game upon hearing about it from Gilbert Collins, and Gilbert Collins is a big strategic fan. If you're not subscribed to his channel, you should be. He's great. Very nice guy. We won't hold being Canadian against him. But this game was adapted into a computer game. The problem was they got a copyright claim against them and a cease and desist order. So instead of keeping it War and Peace like it originally came out with, they had to rename it Napoleon's Eagles, because the trademark for War and Peace, which they did hold, so that they had bought the rights to War and Peace, the trademark only affected the board game and not any computer game based upon the board game, which kind of annoying. So they were able to be sued by somebody who didn't even hold the rights to the game, which is pretty nuts. So anyway, it was easier to just comply with the cease and desist, change the name to Napoleon's Eagles, and keep everything else about the game the same. So it is War and Peace. Don't get confused by that. So normally, when you're playing War and Peace, you're kind of focused on Europe, and you have a really nice big map of the world, basically. But in the scenarios, how they do it is they will give you like a little insert onto the map, and you play on the insert. And that's the case for a bunch of the scenarios that are not part of the main map. The controls for this game are a little wonky sometimes, so if I do screw anything up, that's why. Some of the clicking is a little weird. It has gotten better since it first came out, but if you want to see explanations, it's you right click on things, and if you long press, aka left click, you can see everything that's in that stack. So basically what we're looking at is we're coming in at Alexandria. We've got all of our commanders here, Desai, Bonaparte, and we have all of our infantry and only one strength point of cavalry. So the cavalry rolls are not going to be a big part of this. And then against us, we have a whole bunch of, well, not a whole bunch, really hardly any force at all. So we should easily be able to sweep this aside. You can click on these hexes and it will show you what's in the stack. So it's not like Vassal where you double click and you can see them exploded up. You have to click on it and then you can see what's in the stack underneath it. So it's not quite like traditional board gate adaptations where you can explode the stack or move the stack around if it's enemy, but you can always see what's under it just by clicking on it. And same with your own forces. When you first start a new turn, you have to click the end turn button to go to the next phase, and this game is done in phases. When you're doing the land movement phase of any turn, you'll notice all these Ottomans up here are locked, by the way. When you're doing the land movement phase, you can only move 10 SP around. So generally what you do is you take your best leader and you decide where you want him to go. So we're going to detach Napoleon. We'll bring some guys with him too. But you can only bring 10 strength points, so you got to kind of limit what you have. This is the stack that we're leaving, by the way. So how you do it is you move the guys into the stack that you're leaving, and then that's what's there. So I'm going to move some of these infantry into, I think we had to leave 6 points there, right? Oh, that's Cairo, I'm sorry. All right, this should work. So we have, yeah, this should work. He has 9, so he's just under the limit, so that's not a problem. Okay, then we're going to click on Napoleon, and now you can see that we can move. So to select which force you're going to move, it pops up this little pop-up here, and you can switch between them. But we know we're going to move Napoleon. Now the question is, how do we want to do this? Obviously, we want to capture Cairo as quickly as possible. So we want to, if we can, get there in 1 or 2 turns. Now, for us, it's pretty straightforward. We just want to blast straight through it first. So to do that, you just drag your units over here. Okay. And now we could keep going if we wanted to, but we don't really want to. So let's go to the next phase. This is the combat phase. Now, what you can do is you could tell them to attack. So what we're going to do is attack this guy here if possible. Because we want to try to open the door. Okay, so we're telling him, this is saying that we're attacking this guy. We know he's got basically nothing, so we're just going to blast him out of there. Optional tactical choices. So here is where you can denote that this is a cavalry charge. We don't want to do that. We just want to do the regular battle. So you could click on the battle info. We could see our modifiers here. So we have 2 for morale because we have Napoleon. We have 2 for leadership because we have Napoleon. And the enemy has only 1 and 1. So we have twice, we're +2 over them. So that's where you get that 2 to 1 plus 2. And the reason it's 2 to 1 is because we only have a limit of 2 to 1. Normally, you would have the possibility of up to 4 to 1 on this table. So at 2 to 1, what we want is to roll 7 would be nice. But really, anything where the enemy loses something and we don't. So 7 or better. Okay. Now we will click to go to the next phase and it will execute the combat. Roll the dice. So this guy lost 3 morale and 2 strength points because we rolled 7, just like, we rolled a 9. So if you look here on the 9 column, we rolled 9 plus 2, so that's an 11. Okay, so now they have a voluntary withdrawal phase. You can see here we didn't sustain any losses. They lost 2 SP and 3 morale. So they can now choose to commit additional forces. So we just keep pressing play, essentially. And so this pyramid site, we win. We wiped them out. So now we can choose if we want to advance after combat. And I think we do want to advance after combat because we want to get adjacent to this bridge hex if we can. Alright, so now what the enemy's probably going to want to do is sneak around behind us. But we're just trying to blast our way to Cairo. Alright, so now we're on turn 2, 1798 August. And the enemy has reinforced himself a little bit. So what we could do is we could knock them back again on this turn and then not advance and walk into Cairo on turn 3. Or what we could do is we could risk attacking them with our second force, which would be more of a 1-to-1. So there's not really a benefit from combining our forces here. The other option is we could just walk right into Cairo and let them attack us, because I think Cairo is a supply source, so we don't really have to worry about anything. We could just walk right into it, and I think that's the play. So we walk right into Cairo, and I think we should be supplied, as far as I understand it. We'll find out. You've not made any attack. That is okay. That's what we want. Okay, so now the enemy is across from the river from us. Oh, shoot. Okay, so we did take attrition because we were out of supply. That's very unfortunate. So I screwed that up, obviously. So now what do we do? Well, I think maybe we got to bring these guys down. Attack. Rear maneuver. Successful pincher attack. Amazing. So we don't need anything like that. We're at 2-to-1 plus 1. And we roll really shitty. Lost another infantry guy. So we're not doing great. And now we can advance after combat. Occupying this hex at the end of battle awards the Alliance victory points. Okay. Oh, wait, we don't want to do that. Hold on. I didn't realize it was behaving as a whole stack again. We want to detach some people here. We want to detach Napoleon along with... So he needs 6 strength points in there now. He's got 4, 5, 7, 6, and 6. Okay. And I think we're going to get hit with attrition again, maybe. Oh, yeah, we did. Okay. Okay, well, at least we got some guys in now. That's good. That at least makes up for some of our disastrous play here. Why the hell is... So the enemy was able to really screw us over by being in our supply path, which really stinks, but there was nothing much we could do about that. We had to deal with it. So now what we're going to try to do is force them down the Nile River, and eventually, our strategic goal is to basically get onto the Red Sea. Now, unfortunately, we also have some other goals here where our forces are pretty weak, but there's not much we can do about that. We really just need to play our best here. So we'll keep attacking these guys, keep forcing them back. That's great. So we'll just keep forcing them back down along the river. We're now in the winter turn, although I don't think the winter matters that much in this scenario. But we do want Napoleon to just keep pushing. It looks like the Ottomans are now at war with us, so that's a bit of a problem. We are going to have to turn around and deal with them at some point. But luckily with the Nile, we can move 2 hexes, so we should have plenty of time before they get here to do at least one battle. Oh, geez. They got a lot of guys moving around, huh? Okay, so I would like to bring in more troops to Cairo just to protect it. Looks like the Ottomans didn't really do a whole hell of a lot. Unfortunately, now what we're dealing with is that the enemy is no longer in contact with us. So we're going to have to get back in contact with them relatively quickly here. And as for the Turkish, we're just going to let them march up and see what they do. If they want to go at Alexandria, we can sneak in behind them and cut them off. Hopefully. Okay, so movement's over. We'll do our combat. Attack there. We rolled a 10. Not bad. Not great, but not bad. Okay. We're just going to keep forcing them out, hopefully. Okay, so now what they're doing is they're trying to sneak back up behind us on the other side of the Nile. That's a bit of a pain in the ass. Why did we lose a strength point there? I don't understand that. Very annoying. I think we're going to have to retreat back up the Nile here. This guy's got 6 strength points. Yeah, I don't think we can do this. I feel like we don't have enough troops. I mean, we lost a lot so far, so That's probably why I feel that way. Alright, I guess we'll just pull back. Can we attack across that river? 2-1 straight up. I think we do it. Yeah, that was worth it. We do want to stay on this side. So they're all just swarming on the other side of the river now at this point. Oh, Jesus. So we have to take a mandatory cavalry point and then 3 additional points? What the? That doesn't seem fair. Oh, God. Really getting worn down here. So you can see how disastrous this campaign is already becoming. But, I mean, we're holding on to some victory points. Let's check the scores here. Let's see. How do I check the scores? Nope, not the standard rules. Let's see. Current score is 3. So this would be a marginal victory for the enemy right now. So we need to get a couple more cities if we can. I mean, a swan would be really nice if we could cut their supplies. I'm just scared to do it to some extent. Let's detach Marat with like 1 strength point. And we'll have him go on a little mission to try and clean up some of this stuff over here. We'll have Napoleon stay here and keep trying to fight these battles over here. Okay, so we'll have him fight. Everyone else will stay where they are. Good. I mean, we are absolutely shredding the enemy, so that part's good. All I could do is advance into this hex. I don't think I want to do that, though. So we'll just skip this turn. God, they get so many reinforcements. They were able to retake that town. Yeah, I honestly don't know how you win this scenario. So maybe I'm a dummy, but feels really bad right now. We'll keep them there, I guess. We got a 2-1 plus 2. Oh my God, and we roll a 4. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. I think we need to retreat here. That's a pretty bad defeat for us. Can't believe we rolled a 4. So we're in April 1799. We desperately need the reinforcements. I just don't know what else we can do. Well, we're going to have to fight. Three to 2 plus 2. It's not great odds. But we rolled a 7, so that's pretty good. Okay, so they did withdraw out of there. I think we're going to stay in Cairo for now. So at least our strength is centralized. God, we're just going to have to fight a lot of these guys. How much longer do we have? We have until October. So maybe a few more months. I don't think we're getting this done. Losing 2 more strength points. This is like a 1-to-1. 1-to-1 minus 2. Oh boy. We are in some trouble here. Never withdraw. They just get an incredible number of reinforcements. Like, what the hell? Alright, well, we can't let this guy buy us. Gotta attack him across the river, 1-to-1. Okay, we'll take that. Instead of 1 battle of the pyramids, we got about 50 battles of pyramids. Well, I think this campaign is going to be an L, unfortunately. First time I've ever played it, so not surprised. I'm not exactly Napoleon here. God. So annoying to deal with this, though. Alright, we're still rolling good. Sometimes that's all it takes. Just win some of these fights. They chose to stick around. Hell yeah. They think they can win. Oh, we lost the battle. Shit. Alright, so we got to force ourselves back into Cairo somehow. And here come the Allies. And now you can see... now you can see how Napoleon loses. He is just... doesn't have enough troops to face the absolute horde of enemies that you have to fight in this scenario. I mean, we can win all the battles we want, but unfortunately we can't win the war. And the Turks' naval invaded us, so now we're seriously in trouble. Alright, so one thing we can do is we can try to start zooming on down there. Ooh, got a 1/3 chance of losing my strength point. Never mind. We don't want to force march, but we don't want to be right next to them either. I think we just gotta let them attack us. Now we're on the defensive. Man, I just really don't know what you're supposed to do in this scenario to win. I guess you gotta get a little bit more aggressive, maybe. Okay, so we no longer have reinforcements because we got our shit cut off. Alright, well, I guess we might as well attack this guy. And, of course, roll shitty. See if they advance into that hex. I hope not. And they do. So, French defeat. The Allied player won a decisive victory, as is obvious by this one. All we were able to hold on to is Cairo. Bonaparte would have to run home with the tail between his legs. So this is the historical result. Till next time, see ya.